Om Shanti 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 Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gagana Sadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogibhirdhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokekanatham Om Shri Maha Vishnave Namaha. Ladies and gentlemen, death is one of the hardest truths of life. It is not easy to lose those who are near and dear to us. For the wife, she has lost her other half. For the daughters, they have lost pillar of strength. For those who considered him a father, have lost their support system. For those friends, have lost a fun, loving companion. It is absolutely true that the connection that we have had with the departed soul, Sambhuji, that physical connection has been lost. However, the connection with the soul, with the Atma, will always remain. Because Bhagavan Shri Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, the Atma, the soul, is Nitya, Sarvagataha, Sthanur, Achal, Sanatan, which means the soul is all pervading. It is everywhere in the same amount, and it is eternal. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Mame vansho jiva loke jiva bhutah sanatanaha. The Atma, the soul, is nothing else but the imperishable part of me, the supreme reality. So the connection with the Atma, with the soul, was always remain. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to support the family, but of course, pray to Bhagavan Shri Vishnu, Bhagavan Narayan, who is the bestower of moksha, which is salvation, that, O Bhagavan, provide the soul of Shambhuji an eternal place within you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I would like to invite now Kate and Julie to perform the Antim Sanskar Vidhi rituals. Please come on. Have a seat. Kate, you can sit here. Julie, you can sit there. So one person can lead another person in the meantime. What they can do. So for example, I will have you hold at times a spoonful of water or offer some things into the plate. At that time, for example, what you can do is you can place your hand on her. So that way you're both connected. While one person continues, the other person is supporting. Om Vishnave Namaha. Both of you repeat after me. Om Vishnave Namaha. Om Vishnave Namaha. And one more time. Om Vishnave Namaha. Om Vishnu Radamaze Vishnu Snaptre Stho Vishnu स्योरसि विष्णोर्ध्रुवोऽसि वैष्णवमसि विष्णवे त्वा Om Mahavishnave Namo Namaha. Go ahead and offer all the flowers that you have within the plate right there. Om Mahavishnave Namo Namaha. Now, any one of you, go ahead and hold a spoonful of water in your hand. At the time when an individual realizes that their time is now near, that individual then makes a promise to donate either a cow, if that's not possible, to offer grass to cows as well. Within our Sanatan Hindu Dharma, cows are considered very, very sacred. So at that time, to attain punya, which are spiritual merit, an offering of the cows or grasses to cow on behalf of our departed soul here. Om Vishnu Ravishnu Ravishnu Srimad-Bhagavato Mahapurushasya Vishnuragniya Paravartamanasya Adya Brahmano Dvitiya Pararthe Shishvetavaraha Kalpe Vaivashvatamanavandare Ashtavinshatitame Kalyuge Kli Prathamacharane Bharloke America Khande Pennsylvania Rashtre Mechanics Bharganagare Masotammasai Pannipavitramasai Falgunamasai Shukle Pakshe Ekadasham Vyayam Titho Om Mahavarashreshtho Suryavasare Evam Gunavisheshana Vishishtayam Kashyapagotrasya Shambho Mrutasya. Repeat after me as the best of your capacity. Repeat after me. Samasta Papa Nirasartham Yatha Shakti Godana Nimittam Yatha Samaye Go Mukhe Trunadanam Aham Karishye. Offer all the water that you have within this plate. Om Mahavishnave Namo Namaha. This is a promise that you have made on behalf of the departed soul of your father. So at any time, whenever it is appropriate for you, offer grass to cows either here or back in India. Hold another spoonful of water, and this is to attain the right to perform the next part of the ceremony, but also to purify our own souls. Om Atma Shuddhi Sankalpaha Om Adya Purvacharita Evam Adi Sakala Graha Guna Visheshana Vishishtayam Punyatitho Kashyapa Shambho Mritasya Uttara Kriya Adhikara Praptiyartham Yatha Shakti Godana Nimittam Yatha Samaye Go Mukhe Trunadanam Aham Karishye. Pour all the water that you have inside the plate. You can place the spoon back in the bowl. Om Panchapinda Danaha. In our Sanatan Hindu Sanskriti, within our Dharma and religion, death is not an end. It is a transition into the afterlife, but also a journey back to the supreme reality. So this is not the end. It is only a transition. And as part of this transition, you will be offering nourishment in the form of also support. So we have 5 pind here, which will be offering to the departed soul, as well as energies and souls around here as well. Om Panchapindadana Prayogaha. Initially, what I would like you to do, take a spoonful of water. You can also do this, and you can place them on this plate here to prepare to offer all the pindam. Om Pindasthane Avane Janam. Beautiful. Offer flowers on the plate as well. Pindasthane Kushastaranam. Now, there's a specific way to offer. Whenever we want to offer anything to Bhagavan, to gods, it goes between our tips of our fingers. But now we are offering to the departed soul, including our ancestors, and that will be offered between our index finger and our thumb. So like so. So every time, 1 pind at a time. When I tell you, when I give you the cue, you will be offering 5 pindam here, but between your thumb and between your index finger, like so. So one person can do this. So you can hand the pindam to her, and then you can be the one offering it. So take 1 pind in your hand and offer it to her. Haste pindabadaya. Hold it in your hands. Beautiful. Excellent. Hold for now. Om Kashyapagotrasya Shambho Mrutasya Mrutasthane Tad adhishthat devata tushtyartham shavanamna esha pindo maddattava upatishtatam. The first pindam is offered at the place where the soul has left the body. So at the mrutasthana place, take the second pin in your hand and hand it to Julie. Om Gashypagotrasya Sambho Mrutasya Dvaradeshe Gruha Vastavadhisthana Devata Tushtyartham Panthika Eshapindo Maddattava Upatishtatam. The second one is offered at the entrance of our house. Hold the third one and hand it to Julie. Om Gashypagotrasya Shambho Mrutasya Chatvare Upaghata Bhuta Koti Palayanartham Khecharanamna Eshapindo Maddattava Upatishtatam. Offered at the crossroads on the way to the funeral place. We are offering all that here, but the reason why we're offering first one at the place where the soul left the body, the second one at the entrance of the house, the third at the crossroads. Hold the fourth one in your hand and hand it to Julie. Om Gashypagotrasya Shambho Mridasya Vishramasthane Pishacha Rakshasa Yaksha Bhutadi Patitushtyartham Bhutanamna Esha Pindo Maddattava Upatishtatam. And then the last one, this one is offered at the resting place between our home and the funeral place. Now the last one and hand it to Julie as much as you can. Beautiful. Om Gashypagotrasya Shambho Mrutasya Chittayam Yamadutanam Shanti Artham Shavasya Dakshinhaste Sadhakanamna Esha Pindo Maddattava Upatishtatam. Maddattava Upatishtatam. And the last one is offered at the funeral place, which we have now done. Om Binde Gandham Tava Upatishtatam. Offer flowers, both of you. Beautiful. You got it exactly between the thumb and the index finger. Pinde tilan tava upatishtatam. You can take half. Julie, you take half. You can empty all that you have. You take a good bit, yes, in your hands. Beautiful. And you take the remaining. And similarly, offering clockwise manner on all the pindam that you have in front of you between the thumb and the index finger. You can leave the rest here. Om Pinde Tilan Tava Upatishtatam Pinde Tilan Tava Upatishtatam Pinde Pushpam Tava Upatishtatam. Tava Upatishtam means I am offering this to you. Tava Upatishtatam, last but not least, offer all the flowers that you have. Om Pinde Pushpanim Tava Upatishtatam Pinde Pushpanim Tava Upatishtatam. Take a spoonful of water, either of you. Hold a spoonful of water in your hand. Repeat after me. Anena, Pinda, Danena, Kashyapa, Gotrasya, Shambhu, Mrutasya, Uttama, Loka, Prapti, Rastu, Uttamaloka Prapti Rastu. This was a promise that we made, a condition to Bhagavan that, oh Bhagavan, Bhagavan Narayan, Bhagavan Vishnu, provide the departed soul of my father an ultimate place within you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. After you clean your hands up, take your time. Take your time. Ladies and gentlemen, it is believed that any prayers, any bhajan, any devotional songs, any jap, any mala that we do at this time is offered to the departed soul. So let us go ahead and do that. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. As much as you can. Go ahead, everybody. Shri Ram Jaya. What you do? Any one person can lead it. You will take them. That's what this is. The water, sacred water. And like so, it will also all come out. Whatever's left, offer everything at the end. Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai 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 Ram. Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram 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 Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai 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 Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Shri Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jaya 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 Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya 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 Jaya Ram. Shri Ram. Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jaya Ram 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Starting with the head, you'll go around, do like one clockwise circle, 7 clockwise circle, 3rd clockwise circle, and then 1 anti-clockwise circle. So I'm good. You will be go nice. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Some of the very auspicious material that we have offered to the physical body, requesting Bhagavan again. Bhagavan accepts everything, including the soul, which has been purified. Which is why we have offered all the material, including the sacred waters of Ganga, the tulsi, the coin, the coconuts, the black sesame seed, of course flowers, and ghee as well. This is your last viewing. You can take your time. At the end, you will offer flowers, then we're going to close it. Go ahead. Anadinidhano deva Shankachakra Gadadhara Akshaya Pundarikaksho Pretamoksha Prado Bhava Hari Om Sahasrashirikha Purukha Sahasraksha Sahasrapata Sabbho Mighho Sarvata Spritvatyatishthadashangulam Purukha eve daggo sarvan yad bhutan yaccha bhavyam Utamretatvasyeşano jadannena tirohati Etavanasya mahimatto jyayanscha purukha Padosha vishva bhutani tripadasya devi Tripadordhva udait purukha Padosyeha bhavat puraha Tato vikhvang vikramatsasananashano abhi Tato virada jayata virajo adhipurukha Sajato atyarichyata paschad bhomi matho puraha Tasmad sarva hotaha Sambritam brekadajyam va pashovastaoschakare va yavyanaranya gramyascha ye. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 The Antim Sanskar Vidhi, which is the last funeral rites ceremony, has now been completed. Those who would like to express their sentiments and emotions and express a few words, I would like to invite those individuals one by one to come forward. Sure. Take your time. No worries. Come on up, Kate. Take your time. No worries.
This is not scripted. I'm looking out over everyone here today, and I really appreciate you all coming to pay your respects to my father. There's so many stories that I can share with you about my dad. He was one of a kind. He treasured his family. He was a loving husband, father. I can't even read. Grandfather, brother-in-law, and dear friend to so many. He came to the US after he practiced medicine in the United Kingdom. He settled here in central Pennsylvania. I don't know, Julie said it looked like what, Stratford upon Avon or Lake Geneva in Harrisburg, I guess, looking out there. So he settled here and he practiced medicine here for over 5 decades. He delivered so many babies. And even, I don't know where our funeral director got to, he delivered him. And it's kind of a funny story, like what a small world, circle of life kind of moment, because I met the funeral director's sister, and we went to a Backstreet Boys concert back in the day. Love them. and you know, I'm looking at the name when we came here, and I was like, "Do you have a sister Ashley by chance?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What a small world." We met with her and her mom on Front Street in Harrisburg. We were standing in line in freezing cold weather. My dad did everything for us, and he was dressed in his nice suit and tie. And we're at this shady rundown gas station in Harrisburg to get our Backstreet Boy tickets. But you know, it's just, you know, my point is, you know, my dad always put his girls first, whether it was me, my sister, my mom, or even his granddaughters. He put his family first. So even Colin and Mike. And it's just, again, what a small world. I mean, my dad brought people into this world, and now he's on his way out. But you know, there were numerous times, you know, over the years when we would be out running errands, and people would come up to my dad and say, "Hey, you delivered my son or daughter." I mean, my dad didn't remember everybody, of course, but oh, yes, very nice. I'm so happy. But, you know, considering how many babies he delivered, I can't blame him. I mean, you know, they all look the same kind of. But one funny story we have for sure was not too many years ago, we went out for an anniversary dinner because we always tagged along with my parents. My parents never had an anniversary alone. They got married the day after Christmas, so we were always around. But this particular year, we went out to eat. My dad's sitting there, and he gets this little gleam in his eye. And I'm sorry, I hope this is not inappropriate, but he's sitting there and he's looking around and he sees this table of women, and he's like, "Oh, they're probably out to eat. They killed their husbands, and now they're enjoying a meal out." And and then we're there, we're finishing up our dinner, and this table of women gets up. They come over. "Hey, Dr. Kundu, you delivered our children." So I bet my dad felt pretty uncomfortable after that. Again, I have so many stories. I mean, my dad always would lift me up after he gave me a bath when I was a young kid. And we'd look out the back window. It was sort of like a Lion King moment. And we'd look out and he'd say, like, "Look at all this, Kate," and then he'd come to my room at night. He'd tell me stories about the selfish giant and Dindini, Minmini, Rakal, and Gopal. And poor Julie was in her room, not getting any attention. My dad was rubbing my back. But we were very fortunate to have my dad as a dad. He gave us so many opportunities in life. He worked hard for everything. I mean, as the obituary stated, he practiced medicine in 3 continents, and it was something he was so extremely proud of. I'm not going to say too much about my mom and dad's relationship, but if Elizabeth Taylor's White Diamonds was a symbol of love, then their love was never ending. My mom had bottle after bottle of this perfume and still probably has a few in the closet. So, but when my parents, first started to date, my dad said, "I used to sit outside of Rakestraws in Mechanicsburg and I was eating my peach ice cream and I was looking in the window to see if I could see your mom." He said that, Mom. At least that's what he told me. That's what he told me. I could go on and on, but again, thank you everyone so much for coming. I mean, if you're here today, obviously my father had some impact in your life, and you will help us to move forward. I mean, these past few days have been challenging, but we've loved hearing from people expressing their condolences, telling us a story about my dad and how they knew each other. And I think, again, that will carry us through. So thank you so much for celebrating his life with us.
Well, my sister always has to show me up the articulate, funny one. So now you have to deal with me, and it's going to be a little more boring. But I too have all of my anecdotes, as we all do. And first of all, wanted to thank everybody for being here today. So, we could highlight his medical career, of which he was very, very proud of. And he delivered countless babies in this area and on 2 other continents. And again, like Kate said, that was his most precious accomplishment, the thing he was most proud of in his professional sphere. But then he had the 2 of us and married my beautiful mom. And there are all kinds of personal accomplishments as well. So we'll highlight a few of those. To us, he was a neighbor, a community figure, a friend, a confidant, a devoted husband, a strict but compassionate father, and a doting grandfather, which I've had the pleasure of observing for the last 5 years. He touched all of our lives in meaningful ways. He was intelligent, thoughtful, willing to express his emotion. My husband jokes that I have the Sambhu rage that will come out every now and then. And now I'll carry that forward for my dad. But that said, he was a totally compassionate and loving person with gems of wisdom and heartfelt memories for us all. And I'd just like to highlight a few of my own. So the first is something that will be very familiar to mom and sister. We, as lover of travel and as a member of the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, we often found ourselves in the United Kingdom for summer travel. And on one of our trips, we were on a bus trip at this point, but we ended up at a parade outside of Buckingham Palace. My mom and dad put their heads together and said, "Okay, you take this child, you take that one." I got dad. So I thought to myself, I'm the lucky one, sorry, mom, because Cadbury, the chocolate company, they had this dessert called Cadbury Flake ice cream cones. And I knew my dad, I could con him into one of them. So my dad's holding my hand and we're going through these throngs of people praising the queen and going through her parade. And the next thing I knew is my dad's hand, our hands separated. And the next thing I saw was a bunch of English people and accent that was unfamiliar to me, and I couldn't find my father anywhere. So my dad ends up back at the bus. My mom and sister are already there. My mom's got a look on her face like, "Yeah, are you forgetting something, right?" And he said, "You had her, right?" He totally forgot that he was responsible for me. So I believe the story goes that the whole bus group basically was looking for me then. They launched a search party for me. And as it was, I finally was reunited with them when I saw an ambulance interrupting the parade and my mom chasing it. And I told the Bobby, the police officer, "That's her, that's my mom." He ran out, he extracted her, and he brought her to me. And then I got back to the bus and I was reunited with my family. And the good news of all of this is that I didn't just get one Cadbury Flake ice cream that day. I got multiple Cadbury Flake ice creams for the remainder of the trip. So that's kind of my funny story, but I also wanted to just share some of the wisdom that my father conveyed to me and the deeper messages that he gave to me throughout the course of my life. And the one that has always stuck with me is at a dinner celebrating my graduation from college. He stood up and in his articulate manner, his eloquent manner, he provided a short speech. Not short. He's never short. He's not short. But he said this to me and a few of my classmates. He said, "Be rich," and not from a monetary standpoint. He said, "Rich are as in to have respect for yourself and for others. I, to always have integrity. C, to have courage to face the difficult situations and stand securely in your values. And H, to be humble and to have humility no matter what the accomplishment was." And those words have stuck through me throughout my life. And I'll always carry them in my heart. And I'll always think of my dad for those. And the other one that came up in just a more recent conversation was very simple, very brief, but he said, "Live simply with high ideals." And nobody demonstrated that better than my father. That was his credo. He walked through his entire 9 decades on this earth, honoring that message. And so I hope to do the same. And finally, Kate talked about the selfish giant. My dad was a lover of literature. Oscar Wilde was one of them, Shakespeare, another. But it kind of came full circle. My dad didn't totally neglect me. He did read me stories as well. It was mostly Kate, but I'm literate as well. Thank you, Dad. And we were sitting at the kitchen table talking, and I now have 2 daughters, Kiara and Aurelia. And he told them the story of the selfish giant. And it just kind of took me back because I thought, I got to experience this, and now he's doing that with my girls. And so it was just very beautiful to be able to observe that. And I only could say that I wish there was some more time for some more of his wonderful stories to be shared with my girls. But we have our work cut out for us. We'll have to dig up those stories and tell them. And so I think in sum, I would like to just say I'm fortunate and blessed that this was the person that I got to call dad, to my daddy. And when I think back on that experience at Buckingham Palace and our hands separating from each other, I think it almost was to prepare me for this week and today. Our hands are physically separated now, but I know that we'll be reunited again.
Not too long. Thank you.
I just have a couple of short stories to tell. December 25th, Christmas Day, 1982, my mother had Christmas dinner for the whole family, and Bonnie and Sam were getting married the next day. And so he was there. My brother from Colorado, Tim, and his wife were there. And during dinner, my sister-in-law kept nudging my brother, Tim, and saying, "Go ahead, Tim, ask." "Tim, go ahead and ask." "No, go ahead and ask." And so Tim looked at Sam and he said, "Sam, I have a question." And I know his mind was probably in the gutter, but he said to Sam, Why would you become an obstetrician gynecologist?" Sam put him to shame, because Sam was a very intelligent, kind, gentle man. And he looked at Tim and all of us, and he said, "When you see a baby coming into the world, when you help to bring a baby into the world, it's the most beautiful thing ever." Tim was looking down. And that's kind of where that story ended. But, I think Tim was very embarrassed, and Arlene laughed. But anyway, that was the first of many opportunities that I got to spend with Sam. And he was a very kind, gentle man who I got to know for 42 years. And he did, as the girls mentioned in their talks, he did make an impact on people on 3 continents. All the babies he brought into the world. One of my doctors was one of his babies. And it was, I don't know how many, as they said, how many times we would go places, like to the Asian Indian Festival or wherever it was. Someone would come up to him and say, "You delivered my child." And, he couldn't remember them all. And some of them like years back, and say, "Oh, how nice to see you." He was very, very gracious, and the people walked away feeling, "Oh, Dr. Kundu remembered my child, remembered me." And so I always thought that was very nice. But what a guy, what a sweet man he was. He was very generous and very caring, and I loved, and I shall miss our political discussions, and not just that, but just things in general. And I loved hearing his stories about growing up in India, and he told those a lot. And it was, I'm wearing his little Indian pin today, my American flag and the Indian flag, and for my brother-in-law. And anyway, just one final story. This past week, on Wednesday, Bonnie called me and asked me if I would come over, because I seemed to be able to perk him up. And so he was on his bed, and he was lethargic, I think is the word you used, and he wasn't really peppy at all. And so she said, "Could you come over?" So I went over, and I flopped down in the bed beside him, my head resting on my hand, and I thought, "Oh, I know what to say." So I had just celebrated my birthday. My 40th. Aurelia said I was 40, but actually it was times 2. And so I was laying there beside Sam, and I, Sam, and he looked over at me, and I said, "Do I look 80?" And he said, "Yes." And so that was kind of it. But that will be my final memory. It was almost like a parting shot, But anyway, I'm sure he meant to say no. But I humored him and smiled. But anyway, he's a guy I won't forget, because he really was. He was a good father, and losing poor Julie in England, and I remember that story because it was a Bobby that rescued you, I think, or took you, shared you with your mother again, reunited you. But anyway, I will not forget him. Very, very kind man. Thank you.
I'd just like to take a couple minutes. I'm Brett DeLone. I'm the CMO at Penn State Holy Spirit. And so I learned something new today, which was you guys got married on the 40th anniversary of my parents' wedding anniversary. I figured you might know that. So my dad was Charlie DeLone. They were partners for many decades. And so Sam was part of our family and part of my experience. He was one of the role models, was the reason that I went into medicine, was Sam Kundu. And then he was the person who delivered 2 of my 3 children. He would have delivered the first one, except for she was born in Syracuse. And it says something about physicians when their colleagues are asked to take care of their families. And Sam was asked to take care of my family and my dad's family. And I don't know how many of my father's grandchildren he delivered, but I should suggest most. And so I am, as I say, the CMO at Holy Spirit, and I wanted to honor his contributions to education at the Hershey Medical Center College of Medicine. There was a legacy there that our current medical students and residents are still benefiting from, not just on the West Shore, but across all of Penn State. And I wanted to celebrate his really legendary career at Holy Spirit. His career lasted almost as long as the hospital's been open. And as I say, he was a role model not just to me, but to many younger physicians and generations of doctors and nurses and midwives. And just personally, I wanted to thank you for sharing him with us. Long hours, lots of weekends, lots of nights. And his patients and his colleagues and all the babies he delivered benefited by the fact that you shared him with us. So thank you very much for that.
So I'll greet you in Sambhuji's native tongue, Namaskar. And I am Jeffrey Long. I'm a professor of religion, philosophy, and Asian studies at Elizabethtown College. Been involved in the Hindu community for pretty much my entire adult life. And it's a great honor to speak here. I've been so happy and sad at the same time to hear these wonderful stories about Sambhuji's life. Most of you know him as Sam. Julie, I learned one of the many new things I learned today was that your father and my late father-in-law, Dr. Gopal Chandra Bhattacharya, both shared a love for Oscar Wilde. And my father-in-law's favorite Oscar Wilde quote, which he used frequently, was, "There are people who bring joy wherever they go, and there are people who bring joy whenever they go. And Sam was definitely in the first category. He brought joy wherever he went. I had the great privilege of knowing Dr. Kundu for the last about 10 years or so. He would generally attend some of the pujas, some of the worship ceremonies that we have annually in the Indian community, especially the Durga Puja and Saraswati Puja, which are very big in the part of India that he came from, in Bengal. And we got to be friends. We started chatting, and I think he was always kind of intrigued by my interest in all of this. And so we became Facebook friends. And this is a very 21st century story. A lot of my interactions with him occurred through Facebook, in fact, much more than in person. But whenever I would post something about a book I'd published or a talk I'd given, or posted a YouTube video of a talk I'd given somewhere, he always wrote something very thoughtful and appreciative. And I felt very supported by him, and to know that there are people out there who love and appreciate you, and from hearing what everyone said today, he's touched so many lives and brought so many lives into the world. I'm almost tempted to see show of hands how many people here were delivered by Dr. Kundu. I don't know, maybe quite a few, but yeah, at least one. Okay, and we've heard of many more. He was always to me very, very kind. And just a couple months or so ago, Julie got in touch with me and informed me that he was in the hospital and he'd had some back issues. And so my wife, Mohua, and I went to visit a couple times, saw Bonnie there, saw Julie there. And we just had such a nice, well, we have a term for this in the Hindu tradition, satsang. It means good company. Right? We're having it right now, a gathering, a meeting of minds of good people talking about things of our common interest. And he always liked to talk with me about spiritual things. And so we had some nice conversations during that time. And I want to share with you something that is part of my journey. This is, you heard this beautiful Sanskrit chanting that Dhavalji did for the ceremony. And one of the Hindu tradition has lots and lots of literature and talking about some of the most profound aspects of life. And of course, one of them is this sad parting that we have to experience. And when my own father passed away, when I was 12 years old, I became very interested in questions of the meaning of all of this and what happens after we die. And a couple of years later, I had the great good fortune to come, and this is the actual copy. When I was 14, found a copy of the Bhagavad Gita at a flea market of all places, in the parking lot of the Methodist Church of the town where I grew up in Missouri. And I read these words, and so for those of you who are not familiar with it, it's a conversation between two characters in a much longer story. And you have Krishna, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who is the supreme being, but he's in human form, and he's with his good friend Arjun, and they're about to go into battle, right? They're about to go into a very serious situation. And Krishna is comforting Arjun in his time of doubt about going into this venture. And these words really moved me greatly and gave me great comfort when I was 14. I hope they give great comfort to all of you. This is the English translation. The Blessed Lord said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. For never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth, then to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Much as we may be convinced of this intellectually, it still makes it difficult when the physical presence of that person is not there. We have a saying in the Hindu tradition, when someone passes, we say they've left their body. They've left their body. And he is still with us. He's left his body. He's gone into another room. He's gone on a trip. And what we've done here today, what his children did, what his family did, was to ensure that that's a good trip. But as Kate and Julie said, we'll meet again. We'll meet again. And so think of Dr. Kundu, think of Sam, think of Shambhuji kindly and with love, and he'll know it. He'll know it, and you might even sense the return of that love when you have that experience. I'll close with some more Sanskrit. I'll translate it also for you. It's one of my favorite prayers from our Vedic literature. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma mritangamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Peace, peace, peace. Peace to all of you.
Good afternoon. I'm Deep Gupta, a resident of this town or this area for over 55 years. Probably I'm the one who knew Dr. Kundu the longest. I met him in early 1973 after he came to this area from UK. And he and me both used to live on East Shore. He used to live in Lakewood Hill Apartments, and I used to live in Paxton Park Apartments. So that makes me a partner for a long, long time. Dr. Kundu and me were more of telephone buddies than in social buddies. My social with him was in all the Indian community programs. But telephone, he will call me even when he was practicing, he used to find time to call me. But after he sort of retired, he made it a point that he will call me every other day. First of all, I hope you know what Sambhu means. Sambhu is one of the three gods in Hindu dynasty, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. And Mahesh is Shiva, and Shiva means Sambhu. So he definitely was in this area as one of the person who did a lot of wonderful things to people. If you count how many kids he delivered, probably there will be a small army of the kids he delivered in this area. Okay, starting from my son who's sitting here in 1973. So long time. Dr. Kundu was very loving to his family. Of course, both the daughters and Bonnie. But he was very, very affectionate of his mother in India. Every time he called me, he always wanted to know what else he can do. How can he do something for his mother in India, who used to live in Calcutta area. And then Kundu was so much in love with Bonnie, his last thing up to his last, which was last week, the Deep, used to call me sometime Deepji, sometime Mr. Gupta. He said, Deepji, you need to make sure that Bonnie is a very simple young lady, that please take care of her. She does not know what needs to be done. When he meant that, he meant to say that what needs to be done after his death, about cremation and things like that. That's what he meant that. So don't take it wrong. And he was a person which has a wonderful heart. There was not a single thing for which, for community service, he did not contribute. Everything. Whatever we approached him, asked him, sometime he would, actually twice he called, oh, you did not call me yet for this program. I'm going to donate, then I will need 4 tickets or 2 tickets. So I said, Dr. Kundu, it will be there, or it's already there for you. So Bonnie and Kate and Julie, sorry. He had a lot of love for his family. And Katie, he was, even before you got married, at the marriage time, he has a lot of concerns that you are going away from home in a big city like New York. So that was his big concern. But Bonnie, we cannot say much. Already people have said, the priest is there. I just want to say we all are here anytime you need anything from Indian community. The Indian community is here for you and your family. And I also want to thank our young priest, Dhaval, who came here, who took his time to come, and who's taking care of things extremely well. I hope you are satisfied. And Dhaval, you can tell what is next.
Thank you, Deepji. And we have everybody who wanted to express. Say a few words. All right, great. The entire funeral rice ceremony has now been completed, ending with what you had seen, where Kate and Julie took 3 rounds in clockwise manner and then 1 round in anti-clockwise manner, requesting the soul to break out of the cycle of life and death and continue his journey towards Bhagavan. That is the reason why we do that. Every day, there are 5 different types of sacred fire ceremonies that are proposed to all the Sanatanis: Brahma Yagna, Deva Yagna, Pitru Yagna, Bhut Yagna, and Manushya Yagna. Offered to gods, offered to divine beings, offered to human beings. But one of them is known as a yagna that is offered to our ancestors, those who have passed, those who are not more alive. And the best way, in these sacred fire ceremonies are very elaborate, very long as well, not easy to do. However, the best way to honor and to also perform those sacred fire ceremony, and the easiest way possible, is by remembering their message that they have taught to the family members, including friends as well. And one of the things that stuck out to me that both Kate and Julie said, but Julie, you had mentioned the rich, the respect, the integrity, the courage, honesty. Humility, there you go. And I will now remember that as well. So just by remembering those messages, we have performed our part in performing the Pitru Yagna that we should be doing every day. And just by remembering those things, it is great enough. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now offer a few moments of silence. In the end, I will recite a Shanti mantra. Then we will invite everybody to come forward, offer flowers at the feet of Shambhuji. Few moments of silence. Ram, Ram, Ram. Hari Om Dyo Shantirandarikshago Shanti Prithavi Shantirapah Shantiraughadayah Shanti Vanasapatayah Shantirvishve Devaha Shantirbrahma Shanti Sarvaggo Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shantiredhi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I would like the entire family to please stand over there, and then one by one, everybody in the attendance come forward. As you come forward, you will hold the flowers in both of your hands. You will go around in clockwise manner. And at the feet, you will offer your flowers, bow down, and return back to your seat. Family members, please come forward. Hey. Hari Om Sahasrashe Rekha Porokha Sahasraksha Sahasrapada Sabbho Migho Sarvata Sapratavatya Tishtadashangolam Porokha eve daggo sarvan yadbhotan Yacha bhavyam otamretatvasyeshano jadannena tirohadi etavanasya mahimato jyayanscha porokha Padosya Vishva Bhutani Tripadasya Devi Tripadordhva Odait Porokha Padosyeha Bhavat Punaha Tato Vikhavang Vyakramatsa Shane Abhi Tato Virada Jayata Virajo Adhiporokha Sajato Atyarichyata Paschad Bhumi Matho Puraha Tasmad Sarva Hotaha Sambritam Brekadajyam Pashomastaunschakare Vayavyanaranya Gramyaschaye Tasmad Sarva Hotare Chaha Samani Jaganire Chanda Gosi Jaganire Tasmadya Dustasmadajayata Tasmadashva Ajayanta Yekecho Bhayadataha Gavoha Jaganire Tasmadjata Ajavayaha Tan Jaganam Bari Kikarokshan Borokhan Jata Magarata Tena Deva Ayajanta Sadhyarekhayaschaye Jatporokham Vyadadhoho Katidhavyakalpayanna Mokhangi Masyasit Kimbaho Kimoropada Uchyete Brahmanosya Mokhamasit Bahurajanyah Kretaha Orotadasya Yadvaishyaha Padbhyago Shodro Ajayata Chandrama Manaso Jataschkshoh Surjo Ajayata श्रोत्राद्वायुश्च प्राणश्च मुखादग्निरजायत नाभ्या आसीदन्तरिक्षगो शीर्ष्णो द्योः समवर्तत पद्भ्यां भौमिर्देशः श्रोत्रा तथा लोकान् अकल्पयन् जत्पुरुषेण हविखा देवा जगन्यामतन्वद वसन्तो वस्यासीदाज्यं ग्रेखम इदमः शरद्धविः सप्तास्यासन् परिधाय स्त्रीः सप्तसमिधाः कृताः देवा जगनन्तन्वाना अबधनन् पुरुषं पशुं जगनेन जगनमय जन्तदेव स्थानि धर्माणि प्रथमान्यासन्न तेहनाकं महिमानः स चन्तयतर पूर्वे साध्याः सन्ति देवाः ॐ शान्तिः 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 Namaste. I think we're good. This is great. I've been to many, and this is one thing that they're lacking, which is perfect here. It's a nice venue and nice system as well. Beautiful.